Hi everyone. Due to interest from a couple of students that they needed help with the query assignment, so let me go over a similar example rather than the same example, because if I did the same example, that means I'm doing the homework for you. So to tweak it a little bit and make it more useful for learning purposes, I'm going to use this database here in your um, under the query and SQL module. So I went to additional SQL resources and I opened Clinic database. What I did actually, I opened that and I tweaked a little bit of the relationships kind of to match similar kind of some of the features that you have in the assignment. So as a rule of thumb, whenever I'm working with or answering SQL questions, the first thing that I will do is to look at the relationships. So I need to be able to see the relationships and to see the tables here. So now I can see all the tables. That way I can see exactly how each field is spelled out and which table with the exact name of the table and so on. So let's start by answering the first query or the first question here. So you create a query called reason alphabetical whose results provide a listing of visit reasons arranged alphabetically. So basically they want us to list the visit reasons and they want us to organize them alphabetically. Okay, so now let me look where are the visit reasons. So I'll see here they are not in the first table, they are not. So yeah, they are here in the visit table. So in this case I can create a query either using SQL or query design or query wizard, wherever is easier for you. But in this example, let me just use, since this very it's not gonna take too much time from me to do this tutorial. I want it to be brief, so I'm gonna do this only in using SQL. So basically here it is asking me to select or to show the reason. So it is spelled reason. The name of the field is reason, and the name of the table from what table? Table visit. TBL visit. As you notice here, I'm not concerned with the capitalization or the uppercase, lowercase, because it should not be a problem. SQL is not sensitive to capitalization or uppercase, lowercase. So now it is asking me to list all the reasons from the visit table, and they want us to sort it alphabetically. So order by. So to sort it or to organize it alphabetically, I can say order by reason, and then either ascendingly or descendingly. So let's say ascendingly. I want it to start from A to Z. So then I will just run it, and this is the solution for the first one. So you all got this right when you did your, so this is very straightforward, simple. So now let's look at the second question here. It is asking us to create a query. So to name it, I can just name it, actually, let's see. You can just copy and paste this guy from here to name it, to make sure that I am doing it right. So it is a rule of thumb to use the initials, so QRY. It might not be requested from you, but for me, as a rule of thumb, I like to use the naming convention, which is QRY. So close this guy. So this is done. The second one is asking me to create a query called reason A that shows all visit reasons where the visit reason starts with the letter A. So in this example here, I used SQL. Now let me use, I'm going to use the query, actually the query design. So which table it is? The visit table for reason. Now it is asking me, I can actually use even that same one. So let's use this one just for the sake of briefness. So I'll select reason, and then it is asking me to select or to show reason, and to show those reasons that start with A. So to start with A, we will use a wildcard in this case. So we'll use like, and then we will use double quotation, and then I will put A first, and then the asterisk. So in Microsoft Access, asterisk is a placeholder or represents placeholder for several characters. So, but in SQL Server, Microsoft SQL Server, they use question mark to mean the same thing. So in this case, I will use a quotation, open quotation mark A, and then I will put the asterisk and then close that quotation mark and run it. Now I have all the reasons that start with the letter A. So that's very simple, straightforward. So I'll copy this guy and save this guy. Close it. So now let's look at the next one, the third one. Create a query called reason duplicate that shows all reasons records in the visit table where the reason is duplicated. Basically, it means mentioned more than once. All right, so this is kind of close enough to one of the examples or the assignment questions that he had. So let's say that I want to find duplicates. In this situation, I'm going to use the wizard. It makes it much easier because if I'm going to create an SQL statement, in this case, if I'm going to use an SQL statement, I'm going to have a nested SQL, which means I'm going to have one SQL statement and then another SQL statement within that SQL statement. So we call it nested SQL statement. So rather than doing it by typing the SQL command, so I'll just use the query wizard. So we have here, so you will need to kind of to practice and use those guys here that are provided to you under query wizard. For example, if you want to use cross-tab query wizard, those are when you are wanting to have a query that group by. So cross-tab, and then you have duplicate and match query. So if you want to see if there is a if we have patients here in this table, and not all patients are actually had visits. So if I can use here find unmatched query. So I want to see compare the patient ID here to the patient ID in the patient table and the patient ID in the visit table to see those patients that we have their records, but they have not visited our facility. So in that situation, I can use the unmatched query wizard. But now I am interested in finding or utilizing the duplicate, find duplicates query wizard. So in this situation, I will use this guy. So what is the table that I'm interested in? So it is asking me, create a query called reason duplicate. So the reason is in the visit table. Next. So I'm interested in the reason. And then next, I'm not interested in anything else because that's what this statement tell me. But in your situation, it might tell you different things, so you might follow the instructions. So for me, I'm done here. So it says already exists because I already kind of did it earlier. So I will overwrite it. So I'll say yes. So now this is what you see. So basically, I have a couple of reasons for visits that had more than one occurrence, or they were more than one frequency. So it happened more than once. So those are the number of duplicates. So that answers my question. Now let's look at the fourth one. So it says create a query called patient invoice item that shows the first and last name of the patient as well as the invoice item for each billing table. So before I do that, let me just save this guy. That way I'm following the instructions. So it was already saved. So I'll just close this guy. Now, I need to answer this question here. So it is asking me to select the patient first name and last name from this table, and they want me also to select the invoice item for each patient. So basically I need this guy and this guy. So those two guys from the patient table, and I want this guy from here. So in order to create a query that links or has data from different tables, and between those two tables there are a couple of tables, when I create a query in this situation, I need to include those guys because they are the connection between this table and this table. Even if I have MRN, or even if I have, for example, patient ID in this table or in this table, I should not cut them. I should include all of those tables that are between those two tables that I am extracting data or running my query for. So in your situation, if there are any tables in between, you will need to include them. Here you will notice that also in your assignment, you might notice this arrow. This arrow here refers to outer join, and that's some type of inner join. So we have inner join, outer join. Inner join basically matches every record that matches between those two guys. There is right outer join means it lists every record that I have in the visit table, but only those records in the patient table that have matches in the visit. But it lists all the records in the visit table even if they don't have a match in the patient table. So that's what we call it, right outer join. If it is a left outer join, then we will list all the patients regardless whether they had a visit or not. And we will also have matching. We will select from the visit table only those that have matching with the patient table in terms of patient ID. So in any ways, when we have an outer join, we will need to fix it when we are creating a query to link this table to this table. So let's create this query. So I will go to query design, and then I will list all those guys because it seems to be I need all of those tables. So let me organize them so I'll have like how they looked like in the main relationship window earlier. So now I am running this guy, and so this relationship here seems to be fine. It is inner join. This is inner join guy, but this one has an arrow here. That means it is not an inner join. So I will show you what I mean. I will get an error message when I try to run this. So I will get last name, first name, and then this is what I'm interested. So that's why they must be connected. Although I am not using anything from here, but I need them because they link this table to this table through the foreign keys. So now I will run it. You will notice that I have an error message. And this error message here, it's telling me about contains ambiguous outer join. So this guy is the outer join. So I can just right click on this guy or in this link, join property. I need to select the first one which refers to an inner join. So I'll say okay. Now it looks normal like everybody else. So now I should save this guy. What was it? Yeah. So I will save this guy. And I can run it. Boom. You can say that it worked really well. Now, if you notice, I might have, in some situations, you might have some duplicates. Well, duplicates is wasting space, and I'm not interested in duplicates, so I can actually insert a keyword here called distinct. Right after the select distinct. So select distinct, and then I will run. So earlier I had almost 230. Now I have only 130. So now I don't have that duplicate anymore. So that's the answer to number 4. Now let's look at number 5, what it's asking me to do. So create a query called invoice item count that shows the records in the invoice item. So I need to look at this one here to know what I should be looking at. So invoice item is here, and this is the ID, but I'm interested in the invoice item that shows the records in the invoice item table where the length of the invoice item. So if I look at the table itself, the length of invoice item, let's say that's enter invoice item table. So this is how it looks like. This is the table itself. So it's asking me here to show those invoice item, basically those guys, where the length of the invoice item, the length of, you know, this statement or this invoice item is greater than 12 characters. So those small ones I'm not interested in selecting. So in this case, I will need to create a query. Let's say query design, and then the table was enter invoice item. I'll drop that guy, select both of those guys. In this situation, if I run it, it will list everything else. So in this situation, what I need to do, I need to insert a calculated field. So here, I will just need to create a calculated field, but let me save it. That way I can see what I want. So I will save it before I do the calculated field. So this will help because it will show me the fields that I have here in this query. So I will just right click, but so make sure to save it before. So build, now I can see the fields because I just saved it. If I didn't save it, I will not see those guys. So anyhow, now I will use a function in Access. It's called len or length. So len, I'll just double click on this guy. So the length of what? So I'm interested in the length of invoice item because that's what it is asking me here, invoice item. So I just wanted here to tell me what is the length of each word. So now if I run it, it will tell me the length of each word. So now I can do a constraint here in the criteria. I can just say, you can just give it a name if you want, count or length. So give it whatever name you want, and I don't even want to show this in my query, so I'm gonna unselect it. Here you can just put the criteria. So I wanted the invoice item to be greater than 12 characters. So I'll just put it greater than 12 character, run it, boom. You can see now we have the answers. So I hope that you find this helpful, and we'll see you soon next week. Bye.